Example 1. Do we have enough gas to make it to the gas station? Your mother has accelerated onto the interstate, beginning a long road trip, and you notice that the low fuel light is on, indicating that there is a half a gallon left in the gas tank. The nearest gas station is 26 miles away. Your mother keeps a log where she records the mileage and the number of gallons purchased each time she fills up the tank. Use the information in the table below to determine whether you will make it to the gas station before the gas runs out. You know that if you can determine the amount of gas that her car consumes in a particular number of miles, then you can determine whether or not you can make it to the next gas station. And then here's Mom's table that she has kept in her vehicle. All right, so our first question wants us to find the constant of proportionality and explain what it means to represent in this situation. So when we're finding, we want to figure out how much she consumes, how much gas she uses per miles, or for miles per 1 gallon of gas. So we're going to be finding miles driven per gallon of gas. So I'm going to use all of the information from the table to see if these would make a proportional table. All right, so the first one is 224 to 8. And when I simplify this down, I get 28. So my next table, 280 to 10, which is also 28. And then the last line, 112 to 4, which when you divide is also 28. So our constant of proportionality is 28. And this means she gets 28 miles for every 1 gallon. Our next question, write an equation or equations that will relate the miles driven to the number of gallons of gas. All right, so we're doing miles to gas, or to gallons. Let's use gallons. So this is our y and this is our x. So we could say y is equal, remember our general form, to k times x. So we could say y equals 28x. Or if we wanted to, we could say miles is equal to 28 times the number of gallons. So either one would work. Our next question. Knowing that there is half a gallon left in the gas tank when the light comes on, will she make it to the nearest gas station? Explain why or why not. All right, so we know that our gallons is equal to 1/2, and that's from our problem. So let's think about our ratio here. We're doing miles to gallons. So this is our y and this is our x. So gallons would be an x value. We wrote an equation in our last problem. Y equals 28 times x. So if my x value is 1/2, that means I'm going to take this number and substitute it in for x times 1/2. So I can make this look like a fraction and then I can multiply. 28 times 1 is 28. 1 times 2 is 2. If we simplify this down, we get 14. So she only has enough gas to go 14 miles. If we go back to our problem up here, it states that the nearest gas station is 26 miles away. So our answer to this question would be no, she only has enough gas to go 14 miles. We'll say not 26. Using the equation found, which was our y equals 28 times x. Determine how far your mother can travel on 18 gallons of gas. Solve the problem in two ways, once using the constant of proportionality and once using an equation. So when we talk about using our constant of proportionality, we're just talking about arithmetically, like what would we do and how would we figure it out. So let's do this two ways. Let's do our constant first, and then we'll use our equation down here. All right, so for our constant, we know that she goes 28 miles for every gallon, and she has 18 gallons. So we're going to multiply these two together. And when we do that, we get that she can go 504 miles. If we use our equation, y equals 28 times x, we know that we're doing miles to gallons. So our number of gallons is our x, and up here we're using 18. So y equals 28 times 18, which is the same problem we just did, so 504 miles. And my papers are sticking together. All right. Our next one, using the constant of proportionality and then using the equation found, determine how many gallons of gas would be needed to travel 750 miles. All right, so we're going to do this kind of the same way again. So let's start with our constant. Arithmetically, what would we do? So we know that she needs to go 750 miles, and we want to know how many gallons that would be. And we know that for every 1 gallon, it's 28. So if we divide these out, that would tell us how many we need. It's 26.8 gallons. All right, so to show what that looks like with the equation. All right, which was y equals 28 times x. All right, so let's see, we have 750 miles. If we're doing miles per gallon, miles is our y because it's on top. So my y is equal, oh, not 250, 750, there we go. So we're going to replace this with our 750. All right, so we talked about this in our previous examples, that when we have these two that are multiplied and we don't know what to multiply by, we are going to multiply by the reciprocal of our number, which, remember, reciprocal means to flip this. So we're going to times by 1 over 28. And since it's an equation, if we do one thing to one side, we have to do the other. That way we can keep it equal. All right, so now when we multiply, we get 750 over 28. And then we get 28 over 28 times x. So this right here turns into a 1. And again, we're dividing that 750 divided by 28, which gives us 26.8 gallons of gas.